Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm, part 193 I believe. Making some progress, as always. But I wanted to start off with kind of like a reflection on what we've accomplished so far. Again, we've already demonstrated it is what it is the general form of all solutions. We know we're trying to stabilize sensorality as an axiom. For the last several episodes, what we've really demonstrated is spelling isn't well defined. Well, I immediately take that back. Spelling is well defined, but people have not articulated what it is exactly. Right? In math class, people will say order of operations. But we've demonstrated there's this profound logical structure that exists outside of numerics, numerals, numbers. And so, when I was telling you the story about the squeak, how spelling, but then when I go over and study Russian, well, I'm going to do another Cyrillic reading video here in a second. But it's very clear to me that when you have rules of conjugation, but basically, again, long story short, spelling exists, obviously, and there's right way to spell things, but that the concept of order of operations from mathematical operations is much more general than just as it's articulated for mathematics. And so spelling exists, spelling is well defined, and nobody's really articulated what it is. Like when you have different conjugations between regular and irregular verbs. Remember, the underlying sound is what is represented by the letters. And so we have some sort of, again, all physical systems, or all systems have inefficiency. And so it's not 100%, right? The symbols, meaning letters, don't represent the sounds 100%. That's why you have silent letters. That's why you have these different hard sounds and soft sounds. That's why you have these different accent marks. And so there's inherent error to trying to represent the sound with letters. But going from sound to letters has the same type of order of operations, this logical structure that must be applied in a certain sequence because chronology exists. And so in this derivation, right, we haven't really gotten to numbers yet, but numbers represent quantity. Fast forward a little bit on that. But again, all of this logic, all this derivation we've been doing is outside of any one number system, so to speak. And so symbols represent sounds, but the overall concept of what is spelling, it exists. There's right ways to spell certain words, but the rules in which you apply spelling, going from sound to representing them with letters, is not established, and it's there. So that's a huge, huge thing, right? And in any language, these rules of application are indeterminate. It doesn't matter what language it is, but they exist and they have not been articulated. That's really what we're demonstrating now. But again, it's hard to me for me to parse out or to separate because I've already done this complete process. So all I'm doing on a personal level is iterating my own logic. But picking up rhythmicality, arithmeticality, right? Arithmetic. Now generalize it. Arithmeticality or arithmeticality. But what we can see again, right? Arithmetic is algorithmic. Right? Both of them are the same words, they just have a different prefix and suffix around rhythm, once again. Right? Clearly you can see with algorithm, but then arithmetic, right? You have that, again, that breaking, that letters representing sounds, but arithmetic. So you miss that R-I-T-H, and then the M is separate, as opposed to algorithm. Algorithm, I mean, it preserves the entirety of rhythm, whereas arithmetic, still completely based on rhythm, linguistically and physically, but it separates the syllables, the arithmetic. And so I wanted to point that out as well. Again, we have logarithm, arithmetic, and algorithm. Rhythm, arithmetic, algorithm. What is the relationship of an algorithm and arithmetic? Again, we just said it. It's arithmetic is algorithmic, just meaning there's a set procedure to which you execute order of operations. And this order of operation is more general than numbers. It's language, it's sound, there's just an order to logic in general. Counting is rhythm based, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like you can start getting your counting like you're counting music. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, right? Counting is outside of just, 1, 2, 3. It also contains rhythm. That's how you count in music. And so counting is rhythm-based, very literally. Arithmetic is built on rhythm, and counting, musical counting, is still counting, and you get the actual cadence or the pace or whatever you want to say. Last time we talked about the different cereal, like cereal you eat for breakfast versus a serial number. But how about a serial killer? Again, just taking any context in which these words are used. And so that's how we can, their definitions are established by their usage, and we can see all the context in which they're used, right? So serial in a serial killer context is habitual, it's routine. They do it over and over again. So seriality is habituality. A habit is a routine. Habituality is consistency. How does measurement relate to counting? Right now we have this concept, again, we still haven't really gotten to numbers in our derivation yet, but you don't really need numbers. In the same way, you don't need to really write anything down. When you have all of these historical figures and it's like they never wrote anything down, it's like you don't need to. Me making these videos, none of it is for me. None of it. But it's worth a lot of money, holy shit. But measurement and counting, right? You perform some physical process that gives you some data is present, and then you have to represent that data. That's where you get a number from, a quantity. And then counting, specifically to counting, is the progression of numerals. 1, 2, 3. Again, it's that transition. What do you count? You count the transition. Derivation, deviation, right? Again, remember, every word that I express, I have to reduce. Whether I type it in a Google description and it says derivation, what is that word? Derivation, deviation. Deviation is a violation. Dilate, violate, deviate. A deviant is special, right? If you're outside the norm, you're special. A deviant is special. Does absolute size exist? This is what I have some poignant things every night. I mean, I can literally tap in whenever I want, but there's only so much information that is available to be processed. And remember, because I'm not producing the answers. I'm analyzing the answers, but society, human beings and earthlings in general are producing the diction in which I'm analyzing. And so once you reduce it all, there's nothing else, right? I can't analyze Skibbity Riz toilet before all of the sigmas out there have generated that great diction for us. But like I said, even my short videos, like each avenue in which I'm expressing anything really is a different context in which language is used. And so like a short video, I'm trying to stuff as much as I can into a single video. An email, same thing. I mean, I've done this whole process over email because again, words have meaning. So I don't need any of these different things. But again, might as well do something with my day. But does absolute size exist? Yes. Mass occupies space. Things are physically located somewhere. And so, trivially, you get absolute size exist. But that's just, again, because both the smallest of small intuitions are not outside of my personal intuitive understanding. They are outside of known ontology, everybody else. But this, again, the grand, like how big is just, I'm trying to, I don't even know what to begin to ask. But is there absolute size? Yes. It's just really fucking big. Right? We have the concept of a Google, right, before the internet, right? The biggest a number could be. And really you're going to have a physical limit, a relevance limit, before you're going to have an absolute limit. Then you get to the question, is anything absolute? And the answer is yes. We just said absolute size exists, and it does because mass physically is located somewhere. So then people say, or not any, I'm talking to myself through my own logic, and you're welcome to learn something. But then Einstein would have said something, everything is relative. That's false. Like the past is set. There are definitive things. The opposite of infinity is definity, right? And all words are defined, right? A definition. What is a definition? But just kind of how, right, a definition is a relationship. But each word has meaning, or you can't, like that's the whole point of all of this is demonstrating words have meaning. But I have to use words to describe words, but you can't break it down past a certain point. So we're doing all of these syllable by syllable iterations. I'm just showing you the things that you already have intuitively done. Again, when you go make a slogan for your brand or for your business, and you have all these little cute rhymes, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but Nike, just do it. It's just like you're doing all of these things that I'm articulating explicitly. But absolute size exists. What is absolute, right? Absolute is definite. We said that, but absolute literally, right? AB solute. So what's the intuition there? If you solve something, if it's absolute, it's definitive, is really logically what you're saying. Why have we associated absoluteness with a solute? But everything is relative is false, right? Things are objective, right? You can say, Like if somebody said the past is relative, it's just not true. The past is set. If people say everything is relative, they kind of just mean, again, I don't have a definitive example, a concrete example. All right, definition is concrete. That's like a slang definition. But objectivity exists, and so everything is relative as subjectivity, right? Based on your immediate experience. But we've proven, again, it's done. Language is general past any one individual. So when they say like that's the historical and personal inconsistency from Albert Einstein was right. He says, everything is relative, general relativity, but then the speed of light is the same in all reference frames, right? That's absolute. The speed of light in relativity, as articulated, is absolute because there are absolute aspects. The past is absolute; it's definitive. The future is not defined yet, and so you have all of these. It's a particle and it's a wave. And so we've proven objectivity exists, and everything is relative. It has some application, but when people are saying that, it just means like it's almost like emotional or like, I had so much pain. Well, it's relative. This person in Africa has more pain, or this person in Asia, or this person in America, or wherever. Right? So everything is relative. No, like objectively, that's false. And the context in which people use it is more of like, you don't understand my great trials and tribulations of life. It's like, no, just shut up. But again, historically, that's why Einstein had trouble wrestling with the speed of light being constant in all, again, absolute, not constant, in all reference frame. It's because it's a definitive property. And again, the same way, like, if I had to say the 3 words I hate in physics the most, it's definitely light, chirality. It's not because I don't understand them. I don't get excited. If logic is present, I can get it. Obvious, clearly, Jesus Christ. But light, chirality, right? Is light chiral when you show that propagating wave, an E&M wave, and you have like a spiral thing going up and down. It's propagating. You guys know what I'm talking about. But I don't know why. Just fuck those words. But again, the reduction's past what is empirically valid. And so, yeah, those are the words I don't like, are the concepts that are just like, again, like I said, because we're reducing. We're making the most efficient ontology, and I'm doing it at the most efficient level. So those words, again, just aren't relevant, or they're not well defined, or they're band-aids, right? You just say this word, and it's like, people say chirality when they kind of mean like geometry of some effect. And they'll say light when they really mean radiation. But they, again, so those words do have applicability. And then for the definition of sensorality, I just might be missing one aspect. And again, when I feel physical resistance, it's not because I don't understand the logic. It's because I'm trying to say 1 + 1 = 3, and it doesn't. I just have to find the right question to ask. Okay, so definity exists, and definity is the opposite of infinity. Right? The really, really big, that's infinite. The amount of numbers between 1 and 2, that's definite. Well, is it definite? Oh goodness, put myself on the spot here. Because I've said before that there's an infinite number between 1 and 2, but because motion exists, you can clearly traverse whatever that infinity is supposed to represent. But that's not infinity, right? That's infinitesimality. The immeasurable space between an electron and the cube with the same diameter as the radius of the sphere of the electron. We went over that. So that's infinitesimality. So any of these things that would be represented as convergent infinities in mathematics right now today is infinitesimality. See, I told you I was forgetting a word, and it took me 2 seconds to find it. Didn't even have to pause the camera. But so again, because words are well defined and they have unique meanings. So you don't have convergent and divergent infinities. You have infinitesimality, which again represents that the amount of numbers between 1 and 2, it's definite, but it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, where actual infinity gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that was very useful. But like I was saying, that's what I'm saying, is like you don't see the latency. Like I had to think about that. I was still talking, but this happens in person, right? And so I can solve things as I'm speaking to them, because language is irrespective of me, even though I'm using language. And so it's like when I'm deriving theorems off of my own lecture that I gave 2 seconds ago, which I'm going to do in this one. I just say a fact and then I can build off of it. And then I've already done it to completeness, so I don't need any input from anybody. There's data, there's certainly data that can not I don't make definitive statements unless there's enough evidence for it. And so if I'm making something that's not definitive or definitively wrong, it's just there's not enough data to assess at that given time. But definity exists. Definity is finite. Definity terminates. What is a definition? A definition is a relationship. And we talked about already how well do letters represent sound. So that is overall what we're doing, is we're effectively trying to generalize order of operations, which it's not, again, it has not been articulated to you why you do, but we went through the whole division of a magnetic monopole. You can't really do that. Your natural instinct is to divide things, to differentiate. So we went through the order of operations conceptually, and now it's kind of like it's already present and the identities are present within spelling. But we haven't articulated that correctly. Because when we have these different conjugations, it's, again, when I'm seeing the conjugation thing, we'll do this Russian thing here in a second, but it's just, again, it's some sort of preservation of consistency, but we can approach what is spelling, the orders of letters to represent sounds, in a much more, I don't know, rigorous or definitive way. But as is right now, right, spelling is not, what is spelling? People have not answered that question. So obviously that's a huge problem, or a huge open question in research. Because there are correct spellings, and it's just like, what is the algorithm, so to speak? What is the set procedure you do to spell something correctly? Oh, here's an exception. Here's an exception. Oh, here, this I before E except after C. Oh, no, that's an irregular verb. No, we got to take a step back, boys and girls. And that's why when people say learning foreign languages is difficult, it's because it's never articulated properly. And then words have meaning, and people just like blurt out a bunch of words at somebody, and they're like, what the fuck does any of this shit mean? And so spelling is well defined physically. It has not been articulated in known ontology. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.